Okay, today I wanted to talk about tremor without showing off my shaky hand. Um, so we know that stress can impact everybody's tremor, sort of no matter what's your reason for having a tremor. It certainly impacts mine. And when I'm under a lot of stress, my tremor gets quite bad. So I thought it would be useful to talk a little bit about how I manage stress and maybe hear how other people manage stress as well. I do four main things to tame my stress. First of all, this one is more aspirational, but my goal this year is to slow down. I know that when I slow down, my tremor is vastly improved, my life is better, I am nicer to the people around me. It's altogether a really good thing. So, thumbs up for slowing down. I have to remember that I can't do things as quickly as I used to, and I am not good at remembering that, but I'm getting better. So, that's one thing that I do to help my tremor slow down. The second thing is I sort of am lumping three things into one: relaxation, meditation, and resting. They all seem like restorative practices. So that's why I'm kind of lumping them all together. I do meditate almost every day. Probably I do about 10 to 20 minutes of meditation, depending on the day. And I do it like sometimes I use the Headspace app. Sometimes I use a device that I bought called Sensate, which is really nice. Sometimes I do some progressive muscle relaxation exercises that I'm going to talk about in a future video. I also try to rest when I need to, right? And that's not exactly the same as mindfulness, but I think somehow, in my mind at least, the two are connected. And I also need to do relaxation. And relaxation could be something like mindfulness. It also could be something more physical. It could be stretching. It could be doing a physical activity like yoga or Tai Chi, depending on how you do it, right? So, something that's going to give me that rest, that relaxation, and that mindfulness. All three of those help my tremor, and I think they help others' tremors as well. So, speaking of that sort of physical activity like a stretching or a yoga, I think exercise is very helpful just for everybody. And I think in particular, it can help a tremor. I know my tremor is better if I physically exhaust my muscles. My tremor can get a little bit better, which is great. And that kind of physical activity helps with everything, and so I think helps my stress as well. My stress level is so much better, and so that helps to impact my tremor as well. So the fourth one is connecting with other people, like having friends, family members. Now in COVID time, it's a little harder to do that connection. And I do need connection with the people that aren't directly members of my family. So I try every day to get a couple at least of connections in. They could be friends that I'm texting, they could be a Zoom call, they could be being in an online community, but do something that makes me feel connected to other real people that like I'm sort of really knowing, and I think they're really knowing me. I think that that helps a lot with stress because you can unload about what's difficult and get suggestions for things that could be helpful. Last but not least, stress is helped by sleep. So, sleeping is essential, it's magical, it makes everything just a little bit better. So through my life, I have sometimes struggled with sleep. I struggle with falling asleep in particular. I don't tend to wake up, but I do have trouble falling asleep. So I do various things to try to help me to have reasonable sleep hygiene and to be able to fall asleep. All right, those are my tips for dealing with stress and the impact that stress has on tremor. If you're watching this, in the comments, put in some of your own tips about how to deal with stress and whether or not stress impacts your tremor. All right, bye.